Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And how I love you all so, and I hope that you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious. And that life is treating you most deliciously. So what do we do? 3, 2, 1, my juice little lights. Thank you, little lights. You're delicious and bright. Yes, they are, aren't they? They're my delicious little babies. Just got to keep shining that light, shining that light, shining that light. My little honey bunnies. Okay, now then, so it's 4:05 in our old England's my delicious little babies, yeah, lots of not so very nice blue. Sorry, I keep saying blue. Whitey grey clouds, my delicious little babies. And we are seeing few spots here and there of blue sky. It's a lot more windier today, my delicious little babies. The sun has only now just cracked out again, my delicious little babies. It's been rather dull. Started out delicious when I woke up this morning, my delicious little babies. Then it just went dull, and now it's starting to, let's just say, to brighten up. Okay, my delicious little babies, that doesn't mean no. Now then, so a couple of days ago, because I always tend to look in the sky. I always look up at the sky. I look down on the floor, and I look straight ahead. But I also look a lot at the sky, and it's amazing what you can see. Like some days you can see lots of faces. It's as though the sky is going back in time. It's really, there we are. It's really hard for me to explain what I mean, my delicious little babies, but it's like you can see little babies, little toddlers, from when they were little, like, I don't know, like as in a very old photograph, like decades and decades and decades ago. And it's as clear as day. It's like looking at a photograph in the sky, my delicious little babies. There we are. That is what it is like. And a couple of days ago, it's really, amazing and sweet. Do you understand what I mean? Not in that way. What I mean is, I would have always regarded as maybe a passing, if somebody's passed. So that's why I said I didn't mean it that way. But if you look at it, we've been shown in the sky. So there'd be somebody in the world who would have said, oh, that could have been one of their dear family members, bless. Do you know what I mean? Or dear friends, little family members. Do you see what I'm saying? So if they ever got the chance to see that, there we are. It's just sheerly amazing. It really, really is. Anyway, my delicious little babies, but a couple of days ago, what did I say? I seen a rana. It was an actual rana. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay. They show you things like that as well. So like they'll show you elephants, they'll show you tigers, they show you lots of different things up in the sky, my delicious little babies. Okay, so there we are. So that's what I'm saying there. Now then, not long before I came on my video to you all, my delicious little babies, well, I made myself, because the original recipe is cauliflower, onion, white onion, celery. Okay, my delicious little babies. Veg stock. I usually put one in, okay, because you've got enough, stock with everything else. Salt and pepper, okay, and and a bit of cream, and that's, well, actually, I added on the cream myself, my delicious little babies, because as you all very well know, I love flipping double cream. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? And that's the original recipe, but I put today, and garlic, okay? So you put a couple of cloves of garlic in, do you know what I mean? Chopped up finely. But today I put all of that in, so the onion, the white onion, the celery, the cauliflower, okay? So I had a rather large cauliflower, so I just banged all that in as well. The veg stock, the garlic, and the salt and pepper, black pepper, my delicious little babies, okay? Because salt. There we are. Okay, my delicious little babies. but I added some spuds to it. Okay, some boiled spuds. So I just boiled it all up together, blended it, added a bit of cream, and Bob's your uncle. There we are. And Fanny's your aunt. My delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? That's the old-fashioned saying. My delicious little babies. Bob's your uncle and Fanny's your aunt. Okay. Oh, it sounds rather crude, but I did not mean it's crude. My delicious little babies. Anyway. So, what's the point to what I'm saying? I just like to share, what I like to do. Do you know what I mean? Like every other day, I'll do a squeeze of fresh grapefruit. If I've got oranges in, then I'll use them to oranges. If not, I'll just use orange juice, a little bit of ginger, and one whole lemon. Sometimes I put a bit of lime in it as well. Do you know what I mean? Just give it one good stir and knock it back. My delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? It's very good for cleaning out your system. So I do not mean that in a crude way, but everybody needs to go to the toilet. The lather, my delicious little babies. You know what I mean? And it cleans you out. There we are, turtly. My delicious little babies, okay? So, maybe for yourselves, if you wanted to try the recipe with the soup, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? It does come out with the spuds. It does come out rather thick, okay? It's very thick soup, with all those ingredients, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? Especially the spuds. But you can also do it without as well. Okay, my delicious little babies, I just thought I'd mention it. Now then, my delicious little babies, so where am I? Right, okay, this video here, my delicious little babies, it's going to be a bit of there's a point to what I'm saying, okay, my delicious little babies, so I'm hoping, please and thank you, because I know that there's always somebody listening, okay? You got two sides, it's a bit like a Twitch, you know what I mean? You got the ones, there we are, where this is going to help, and it will help whoever's listening. Then they just pass it on. Do you see what I mean? Okay. And then you got the other ones who are listening, and they just try to F you up every 5 minutes, you know what I mean? There we are, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying? So like I said, it's like having a Twix, isn't it? Okay. One good, one not so good. Okay. Go back to the Twix brothers, my delicious little babies, just going over the dots. Now then, my delicious little babies, so we're going to see how this rocks and rolls. Oh, by the way, because I have wrote down, wherever I wrote you down now, Stu. Right, and with anybody not in that way, okay, my delicious little babies, I do my videos, there we are, and I'll just be done saying what I've got to say. And thank you to all of my delicious little babies who are so very kind enough to even view my video, for any likes, the occasional comments, and for the views. So thank you so very much, and I hope that you found the information, helpful or useful in some way, my delicious little babies, because all I do, I'll repeat once again, I do it as a hobby, but I also want to find some sort of way, there we are, to help the world, just to, do you know what I mean, that I'm doing something to help. There we are, do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? Yes. So let's go to the first one. So the first one, I always usually go through DuckDuckGo, I do, okay, my delicious little babies, okay? So if you was to please and thank you, type in search engine of your choice, I just choose DuckDuckGo, okay? Capital S, Stew, then a space, capital P, Peters, then a space, capital N, Network, okay, my delicious little babies, okay? Rumble, and it should come up Rumble. Now, Stu's now up to 566,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? So 566,000 subscribers on Rumble, okay? My delicious little babies, you know that song? Let's get ready to rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. What year was that song? There we are. Oh, what year was that song, my delicious little babies? Haven't sang that for a while. Anyway, oh yeah, so this is a video that Stu has put out. This is the early hours this morning, and his network, okay? So it should read, measles and more scandemics incoming more deep state, false flags. Okay, my delicious little babies. So I'm just going to repeat this again for you. Measles and more scandemics, incoming more deep state, false flags. My delicious little babies. Okay, so this video, it is over an hour long. Now, who he's got on at the beginning is called David Curtin. Now, I have mentioned David months and months and months and months ago. Now, he was part of the Heritage Party, my delicious little babies. Anyway, so he just has a brief convo with Stu, okay, Dave and Stu and Dave, okay, my delicious little babies, okay, and they're giving their view, and the things, that let's just say have been going wrong, my delicious little babies. I'm stumbling here, but I'm not changing my video, my delicious little babies. So you'll hear Dave and Stu, and and it's it's a good little, what they're talking about, my delicious little babies, okay. And of course, Stu, he talks about all different things, bless him, do you know what I mean? He had our lovely, and again, not in that way, our lovely David Icon as well. You know what I mean, my delicious little babies, okay? So, that was all quite a while back now, my delicious little babies. But yeah, so he talks to all different, okay? He's what I would call, he's extremely, there we are, passionate about certain topics and subjects, my delicious little babies, okay? I do get where he's coming from, because at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is everybody, there we are, just wants to live in peace. Peace, love and harmony, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? And of course, our lovely David Icke, he's the same. He's all for the peace. You know what I mean? Just that peace in the world, and his dear little sons, Gareth and Jamie, and their dear little friends, Richard and Chris, they, and their families. Do you know what I mean? They just want peace, okay? So sometimes, so I'm not saying that the birth the same, birth, do you know what I mean? Like our lovely David Icke and Stu. I'm trying to get it across in a way, okay? Because, you have to get where, there we are. I've said this before, you have to get where Stu's, coming from. Do you know what I mean? His angle, okay? But he certainly, and I'm pretty sure that probably some take him, there we are, totally the wrong way, okay, my delicious little babies. But you have to listen to things that I feel very carefully. Do you understand what I mean, okay? To see, what he's talking about, okay? And I say that about anybody, my delicious little babies. Oh, by the way, yeah, he had a cool shirt on the other day. Oh, bless you, Stu. Yeah, it's got like a little pattern on the inside. Yeah, it suits you, Stu. Yeah, suits you. Our little lovely. Like I said, not in that way, but it suits you, Stu. That, with a bit of the old pattern. You can get those shirts, and then inside they've got like a little pattern. It sort of breaks up the shirt, if you know what I mean. Everything's not just plain. You know what I mean, my delicious little babies. Sorry, I just thought I'd mention that, okay? Now then, my delicious little babies. Now then, so this is what I want to talk about, because I'm leading on, there we are, and I'm leading on to something, okay, my delicious little babies. So you're ticked off, Stu. Keep up the excellent work, our little lovely, because they're all so lovely jubbly, okay? Now then, here we go. Next one. So this is our lovely UK column news, okay, my delicious little babies, on old YouTube, okay. They're now up to 8.44 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies. This video here is it's 7 minutes and 10 seconds long, okay, my delicious little babies. What they've done is they've taken a little bit out of their, because they do a show 3 days a week, my delicious little babies, Monday, Wednesday and Friday. So they've just taken, like little snippets out, okay, my delicious little babies, okay. Like I said, everything I'm doing is I'm following on from something, okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, so in the old space bar, in old YouTube, my delicious little babies, if you could please and thank you type in, should anybody have any form of an interest, capital U, capital K, UK space, capital C, column, space, capital N, news. So it should read UK space column space news. Okay, my delicious little babies. And of course, with everybody, you know, then you should have reached your destination. Okay. Now, this video should read, fake news spreads like wildfire. Always read beyond the headlines. UK column news. Yes, my delicious little babies. So yeah, my little lovelies that you are. Oh, I just love listening to everybody. Do you know what I mean? You know, I have my favourites. There we are, who I listen to. Do you know what I mean? Okay. So you know, that will never change. You know what I mean? Anyway, my delicious little babies. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. I just need to have a sip of my orange juice, please, and thank you. You know, like in Jamaica. Sorry, my delicious little babies. I was really thirsty. You know, like in Jamaica. Sorry, it's just reminded me of something I wanted to say as well. Before I proceed. You know, like where you can have like mangoes that fall from the trees and everything. And of course, you do not have to pay for them. You can just pick them up. You know, take them home. There we are. Wash it and eat it. My delicious little babies. But of course, you know, the orange juice, you know, anything you have these days, you know, especially in supermarkets, you know, you have to pay for, don't you, my delicious little babies? You can't just walk in and just, you know, take what you want and walk back out again, can you? Please and thank you. Because that'd be like a snap on the knuckles, wouldn't it? Like in other countries, you know, if you was caught stealing, they remove a part of your body, my delicious little babies. They do not ramp. You see what I mean? So yeah, I just thought I'd just mention it. I mean, it's just so beautiful, and everybody who I know who has been to Jamaica, they said it's just beautiful. You know what I mean? And there's nothing like, you know, like when the fruit is ripe and then it falls off the tree. You know what I mean? And you wash it and eat it. Do you know what I mean? Be lovely, wouldn't it? And they have such beautiful sunshine. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? Anyway. So what this is talking about, getting back to the matter in hand, my delicious little babies, okay, is what's happened is, this is to do with a situation in Wales, okay, my delicious little babies. Now, there was something on X, which I call Twitter, okay, and well, basically, the one came in, what was it? Born in the USA, over the pond again, my delicious little babies, happened to be Alex Jones. Do you see what I mean? You know, we're sort of mentioning him, but not in a positive way these days, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. And apparently he put that to, you know, Pakistani, I don't know, teenagers had, I don't know, burnt down a church or something in Wales. Well, it turned out to be there we are, a barefaced lie, okay? And of course, you had Tommy Robinson as well. He put something up as well, apparently, okay? So the fact of the matter is, what Patrick, bless him, and what Mark was saying, bless him, and not in that way, okay? What they were saying, there we are, was damn well common sense. Because it turns out, my delicious little babies, that the two who had done this were not Pakistani at all. They were, what do they call them? Native white. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now, had this, which of course, having millions of views does not help the situation, my delicious little babies. So I totally agree with that. And that could have caused terrible trouble. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? So what Patrick did, bless him, so bless you, Patrick, okay, he contacted InfoWars and spoke to, you know, whoever, you know, is in InfoWars, my delicious little babies, you know, and explained that this should not run. Okay, well, anyway, was it a few days later or something, it got taken down? Well, rightfully so, but on the other hand, on Tommy's, very sadly, it hasn't, my delicious little babies. I don't know. there we are. See, before I even say it, there's something, isn't there, going on here, there we are, my delicious little babies, isn't there? There's got to be. Okay, my delicious little babies, but please, just a little bit of time out your day on that with the videos that I'm mentioning today. Well, any day, my delicious little babies, but especially today. Okay, my delicious little babies, you know, at the moment. Well worth a listen to that. But yeah, I mean, you cannot purse things like that. It's just going to cause, there we are, unnecessary trouble. So what's the simple thing? Just do not put things like this at all in the first place. There we are. That solves the problem, doesn't it, my delicious little babies? You know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, you know, the world's in a terrible way as it is, my delicious little babies, without giving out bullshit that isn't true, my delicious little babies. You know what I mean? Anyway, so that's that one. So let's go up to this one here. So we've got to go up now because I've gone to like the middle. And now I've got to go back up. So this uploader on YouTube, my delicious little babies, happens to have 399,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies. In the old space bar, my delicious little babies, should anybody once again have any form of an interest, capital H, how, space, capital T, 2, space, capital A, Academy, my delicious little babies, okay? So it should read how, space, 2, space, Academy. Okay, my delicious little babies. Yeah, I remember as well, you know, because you've got academies, sorry, stumbled on that word, over in born in the USA. And of course over here used to be called schools. Well, now they're called what they're called, academies. Like I keep saying, you imagine like double yellow lines. That's how old England and America, it's like everything they do is together. We want to be together. Do you remember that advert, my delicious little babies? The guy, I think it was a family advert. They went, we want to be together. Okay, my delicious little babies, the guy. Anyway, this is part 1. There is a part 1 and a part 2, my delicious little babies, and all you need to do, should you wish to listen to this video, which is just over 16 seconds long, my delicious little babies. I'm pretty sure it's that one, or is it part 2? Well, the point is, it's not a long video. Then you only have to click on to, you know, their videos to listen to the part 2, my delicious little babies. Now, for some of you, my delicious little babies, you will know this man who is speaking, but for others of you, you may not know. But I just thought that this would be interesting to give out. So the video should read, The True Origin of Capitalism, George Monbiot, or Biot. Oh, sorry, excuse me, my delicious little babies, pardon me. Okay, so it's George, is it Monbiot? Monbiot? Monbiot. 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 I think it's Monbiot, isn't it, my delicious little babies? But it's an R, so it could be Monbiot. Okay, my delicious little babies. So I'll just repeat that again for you. Sorry, my delicious little babies. Okay, so I've done a natural way. Do you know what I mean? The True Origin of Capitalism, George Monbiot. Okay, my delicious little babies. It's not a very long video. Now, finally, my delicious little babies, I'm trying to do it in a certain way. Well, I wasn't trying. There we are. I was done doing it this way, my delicious little babies. The final one, this is on YouTube, my delicious little babies, okay? And this uploader happens to have 178,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies. See, there's that number, isn't there? 7 and 8. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, in the old space bar, in old YouTube, my delicious little babies, capital P, prevail. So if you could please and thank you, please type that in. Prevail with capital P, then space, capital R, Islam. Okay, my delicious little babies. So I'm just going to repeat it again. The uploader is called Prevail with a capital P, space, capital R, Islam. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, this video here is over 35 minutes long, my delicious little babies. Over 35 minutes long, my delicious little babies, okay? And the video should read, now for some of you, you may have seen it, for others you may not, but I just thought, this too is a very interesting video to listen to, my delicious little babies. Should read, the forgotten history they don't want you to know. To know. Shocking secrets, there we are, exposed, my delicious little babies. So I'm just going to repeat that once again for you, shall I? The forgotten history they don't want you to know. No. Shocking secrets exposed. Yeah. So now we're going to close our book, my delicious little babies. Okay. I must remember to go back where we need to go back to. Do you see what I mean? Yes. Now, what this is about, just very briefly, because I'm not going to keep rambling, all day, my delicious little babies, bless you, know what I mean? I think there's only so much that maybe sometimes ones can take in from myself, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? Sometimes I could be very trying, do you know what I mean? Anyway, he's very passionate, this man, your man there who's talking, there we are, very passionate indeed about what he has to say. Now, for myself, I listened to it, was it this afternoon, earlier, my delicious little babies, okay? And I really did, there we are, find it very interesting, my delicious, there we are, I really, really did. I found it extremely interesting, my delicious little babies, listening to this video. What's really important, like when you look at the videos so very kindly, should anybody wish to, please and thank you, I'll be most thankful and grateful, is the comments. I only look at, some. I do not look at a lot because, because I'm moving on to, you know what I mean, to look at another video, or it could be cooking, or it could be, do you understand what I mean? Yes. How others view a video, what their thoughts are to do with the topic or the subject, my delicious little babies. Very interesting. Oh, I'll tell you who else I listen to as well, bless her. Of course, not in that way. Her name, in the old space bar, my delicious little babies, capital K, Kim, space, Iverson. So it's capital R, V-E-R, Arver, then Sen, S-E-N, Kim Iverson. Okay, my delicious little baby, she's got 596,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies. Yeah, I found myself lately, there we are, listening to some of Kim's videos as well, bless her. Okay, and I've listened to one that's not long been put up, my delicious little babies. It's only hours. Okay, my delicious little babies, I think that's just over an hour long, my delicious little babies, yeah. Just interesting videos. I mean, I know Kim anyway, sitting on, what was she on now? Was it, I don't know if that's still there anymore. Was it Brand New Tube that I saw her on, or was it Rumble, or definitely BitChute, my delicious little babies. Okay, so I've known about Kim long time, and I have listened to some of her videos over the years, my delicious little babies. There we are. Yes, I have. Okay. But yeah, the latest video is interesting as well, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? Yes. So, there's lots of videos there to take a listen to, should anybody have any form of an interest, my delicious little babies. But let's just go back to the video that I was talking about. So, yeah, so thank you to all of the uploaders, on any videos that I advertise, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? Because, for myself, really, what ones, there we are, just ones, there we are, is the truth. Do you know what I mean? I just feel it in the world we've been lied to terribly about, there we are, about, well, actually, millions of things, actually, my delicious little babies. There we are, millions of things now. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? And really, this must stop. Because, I'll repeat again, ones who give out the bullshit are the ones where the numbers just shoot up, up and away. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? And of course, ones who tell the truth, they're forever having, do you know what I mean? Like the finger pointed at them constantly. But this is, it's got to stop, hasn't it? But, and I'll finish with saying again, because I love to mention, they're just so wonderful, our lovely, iconic, and then you just have to put space bar, Gareth, space, arc, okay? And it will come up. Okay, my delicious little babies on old YouTube. I'm not sure why it doesn't come up if you just type in iconic. I'm just not too sure why that happens. Anyway, but I want to mention them because it's really fascinating. And then because you have Gareth, dear Gareth, dear Jamie, and then their dear friend Richard. Okay, but what's really well, anyway, it's all fascinating, but I love listening, to the videos. I could listen to them all day long. Do you see what I mean? But Richard talks about, bless him, he talks about more deeper as well. The same with dear Gareth and dear Jamie, but then they put up a little tiny video. Do you see what I mean? And then you get, there we are, a far better understanding of things. The way that I see it is there's only so many who I listen to, maybe I'm being, a little bit, because they're my favourites. Do you understand what I mean? Okay, because they're all my favourites, okay? For the ones that I advertise, on a regular basis. I know you shouldn't have favourites, but, you've got to have favourites, you know what I mean, Martin, little babies. And I've mentioned others over the my past few years, you know what I mean, on YouTube, you know what I mean? And, for myself, I could listen to them all day long, do you see what I mean, okay? But what Richard does, he gives like tiny little videos, like 2 or 3 minutes long, and then he explains something else. And so does our dear little Gareth and our dear little Jamie, as well as our dear little Richard. Do you see what I mean? And I just, there we are, find it so super duper interesting, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. And especially in our lovely David Icke, davidart.com. Okay, you can see lots of articles on there, the same as our lovely UK column, then you can see articles, and they've got both channels, websites have got, videos and everything. But what I admire is, there we are, is all of the research. Do you see what I mean, that he's done? Whereas, I mean, I do some research. There we are. Yes, I do. Okay. But with myself, it usually comes about like as if my dear spirit guides, there we are, have put it into my noddle. Do you know what I mean? That I must go and research something. But sometimes when I've done it, there we are, and I've mentioned it, okay, hours later, say if even with DuckDuckGo, it never used to happen that way, my delicious babies, okay? So something, there we are, has been changing. That's when I go back, could be a couple of hours later. What does it say? 404 not found. Well, why would somebody, there we are, want to remove it? If there isn't something, there we are, of significance in there. There we are. My delicious little babies, do you see what I'm saying? Yes. And it's usually what something's been, there we are, spelt out to me. I wrote something down months ago. It would take me forever looking through my books, my delicious little babies, because I wrote that much down. But something, and they spelt it out to me, my beautiful dear little spirit guides. They spelt it out to me. I went to DuckDuckGo, I typed it in exactly as how they spelt it out to me. And yeah, come up with something, all right, my delicious, there we are, little babies. Do you see what I mean? Okay. But it's not something that I would just, magically just, do you understand what I mean? It was my beautiful dear little spirit guides. I was just there just one evening, just actually, do you know what I mean? And then bing, do you see what I mean? So that's when, do you see what I'm saying? When I would usually then go and do some research for it. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. Like I had a real strong to do with our lovely, not in that way, our lovely Mr. Gaddafi. And of course, sometimes, bless him, he comes in and out. Yeah, comes right up to me, not in that way, my delicious little babies. He comes right up to me birth trace. And then, 1-2 days after that, you hear something else. in the alternative news, my delicious little babies. Do you see what I mean? So he's letting me nurse, but sometimes I do get that, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? And for myself, there we are. I feel it is a true blessing. It just comes out of nowhere, my delicious little babies. Do you see what there we are? Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? So I do believe that ones can certainly, there we are, communicate. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes, all that they've got to do is find somebody who's of a very, there we are, spiritual nature. Do you see what I mean? Then it's a better link. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? But yeah, true to form. I think he's came to me now, is it a few times now? Recently, my delicious little babies. I have mentioned it. And then all of a sudden then, like I said, 1 to 2 days, there we are, then something happens. Because we all know very sadly what happened to our lovely Mr. Gaddafi. Don't we, my delicious little babies? And it certainly was not very nice at all. My delicious little babies, okay? So anyways, that's the end of my video. So whether it's morning, afternoon or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunnies, okay? Sending peace, love, harmony and bright blessings to each and every one of you. And may your beautiful little selves, there we are, and your beautiful little families, may you all be fully protected. So until my next video, you just please look after yourselves now. Please try to take care of others as well if you can, okay? If you care, if you can, sorry, my delicious little babies. Sorry, sometimes I just get tongue-tied, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? Yeah, because we are in a bonkers, crackers and crazy world, okay? So thank you once again for listening. So much love. Take care. Goodbye.